Welcome to the Labour Force. I am Bongedi Muchwa. All eyes will be on trade unions NUM and NUMSA this afternoon as they announce their next step regarding the wage impasse at Eskom. The Eskom wage negotiations are on the brink of collapse, with both unions having emphatically rejected the power utilities conditional 1.5% wage offer, which was tabled earlier this week. Both NUM and NUMSA are demanding a 15% increase, but Eskom maintains that the wage demand is simply unaffordable. It has tabled a 1.5% increase on condition that unions agree to forego leave and numerous other employee benefits. The negotiations now appear to be doomed, with Eskom insisting that its offer is final.
Eskom reiterated its offer and the associated conditions and recorded that this is the final offer. Organized Labour rejected this offer and urged Eskom to reconsider its position.
Labour Federation Cosatu has voiced support for the union demands.
We support our unions and we're saying to them, in the interest of defending your members, the interest of workers, they should not retreat, especially when they know and see that the employer is not moving in coming, at least meeting the unions and the workers' demands halfway.
We appreciate the question of unions working together, irrespective of where they're coming from. In fact, NUM and NUMSA in Eskom, I think their relationship is as old as them. They fight, they unite, they fight. Is that kind of Orlando Pirates and Chiefs relationship.
Cosatu has also called on public sector unions to remain united in their wage negotiations with the government. Public sector unions are currently consulting their members about government's 1.5% wage offer. Mbongeni Muchwa, SABC News, Johannesburg. Well, to discuss this further, I'm joined by Cosatu spokesperson Sizwe Pamla. Good afternoon, Sizwe.
Afternoon to you and afternoon to the viewers.
Well, as our reporting suggests, it looks like we are headed for a deadlock and a dispute being declared at Eskom, which of course raises concern in terms of the implications that would have in terms of the security of power supply in the country. Are you reading the situation as we are reading it at the moment?
Well, look, for us, really what we are doing is to encourage our unions to continue to negotiate on behalf of workers. You are talking about the huge implications for the country. The unions also have a responsibility to look after the interest of their own members. And if you look at the level of debt in this country, it's alarming. Wages have been stagnating. And if you look at the cost of living, also workers have been struggling, especially after the outbreak of the pandemic. So we want the unions to continue to negotiate, and hopefully we can all avert a strike. I mean, a strike isn't good for the economy, it's not good for any of us. But at the end of the day, unions are there to make sure that they represent the interest of their members. And the only message the Federation has to all of our unions, including those outside of the Federation, is that make sure that you do not sell out workers, make sure that you represent them and you get out something that workers can appreciate.
Eskom has asked the unions to be sympathetic to its financial dire straits position that it's in at the moment. Aren't you sympathetic to that position?
No, the question of sympathy is a complicated question here. We pay for Eskom. We have been putting money into Eskom to make sure that Eskom does the right thing. So workers have not dug in that hand. We're not in this situation because of workers. So no one is going to outsource the responsibility to workers. Workers have done everything right. You have service providers who have looted the power utility. No one is doing anything to sort that mess out. We have asked for a forensic audit to revisit some of the contracts that Eskom has signed, and that some of them were aware, based on the Zondo Commission that they were not up to standard, and very little has been done on the side of the power utility to actually fix that mess. So workers are not responsible for the mess that Eskom is in. All workers want is that they be paid what is due to them. And unions have to make sure that they negotiate with Eskom, they listen to what Eskom is going to say, but at the end of the day, unions are there to make sure that workers are not going to be scapegoated. We are not going to have the private sector loot the power utility. We are not going to have everyone steal from Eskom, and then workers are the ones who are expected to pay the price.
Now, moving on to the public sector wage negotiations, of course, you've just come out of your CEC meeting and you say in your statement that public sector unions must remain united in these wage negotiations. We've seen the government move away from a 0% position, now tabling a 1.5% offer. Do you regard that as a sign of progress?
Well, as far as we are concerned, we are giving the negotiations a chance. The unions gave us a report, and we noted and acknowledged the report, and we made it very clear that whatever is it that you do, you make sure that you consult comprehensively with your members, and you make sure that everything that you'll end up taking as a decision, it will be because we have received a mandate from the workers. As far as the Federation is concerned, we are not going to interfere in the negotiations. We are not a recognized member of the PSCPC, and we only get updates from the unions themselves. And after giving us the report, they requested that they be given 14 days to go back to workers to present the new offer, and then hear what workers have got to say. And we said we'll respect that, we'll allow them the space to actually engage with their own members. And whatever feedback that the members will give will be the feedback that will be the mandate of the Federation. But as things stand, we have taken a decision to allow our unions to continue with the negotiating process and the consultation process, and we will be able to express ourselves once workers have given their official response.
Of course, in your statement, you also say that the fight for the last leg of the 3-year wage agreement of 2018 is a fight that you are not prepared to give up. But isn't that a lost cause by now? I mean, this has been dragging on for quite a long time now, and government is not budging.
Well, it's not a lost cause when you consider the fact that we have taken a decision with our union to appeal the decision. So we are taking this all the way to the Constitutional Court. The date has been set for the 24th of October. But we always look at negotiations as something that needs to happen outside of the legal processes. We don't think a court decision is something that should be regarded as the final decision, because it will set a wrong precedent. So what we want is to continue to engage. Hopefully we can find each other and have this issue resolved before it makes it all the way to the Constitutional Court. We already do have a date. What we are trying to pursue now is a situation where we can engage with the relevant stakeholders in government and amicably resolve this before it is resolved by a Constitutional Court. Because whatever decision comes out of the Constitutional Court, whether it is in favor of unions or it is in favor of workers, it will actually complicate negotiations going forward, and it will set the kind of precedent that we do not want. But this is far from being a lost cause. We are pursuing it. If push comes to shove, of course, we will have to wait for the Constitutional Court process, but we hope that sanity can prevail and this issue can be resolved before the Constitutional Court makes it through.
Well, Sizwe Pamla, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Do have a good day, and of course we'll be keeping an eye, a very close eye, on that urgent media briefing that has been called by NUM and NUMSA to announce their next step with regards to the Eskom wage negotiations. That briefing will be getting underway at the top of the hour at 2 o'clock. We will give you more reports on that later in the day. From me, it's goodbye. Up next, the Alternative Investor with Zinga Kunda. Stay with us.